You've honored all the shrines. You've petted all the foxes. You went in to all the onsen and seen all of my butt.
Alright, motherfuckers, this video's not going to be edited much because I'm lazy, but on Thursday, news broke from Deadline that a Ghost of Tsushima movie is said to be in the works. Now, this is some shocking news to me, as this game isn't even a year old yet, but that's not to say that this is bad news. Ghost of Tsushima is my favorite game of 2020, so I'm pretty excited about what this movie could turn out to be, because the story of this game is great. So, I'm here to give you some of my initial thoughts on this announcement, along with some speculations. And with all that being said, let's jump right into this. Also, spoilers ahead for the main story of the game. Now, what we know about the movie so far is limited, but there's still a lot to speculate on and dissect. So, this movie is set to be directed and produced by Chad Stahelski, who is most known for being the director of the John Wick movies. It's also pretty important to mention that Peter Kang from Sucker Punch Productions will be executive producer. Sucker Punch, of course, being the team that made Ghost. Other producers attached are Alex Young and Jason Spitz from 8711, which is also the team that worked on John Wick, and Assad Quizzlebash, head of PlayStation Productions, with Carter Swan. Now, in a quote from Assad, he said specifically that they are going to do Jin's story in this movie. And of course, with Sucker Punch attached, it seems like this movie is in pretty good hands in terms of being a true adaptation of the game. But Chad Stahelski is working on John Wick Chapter 4 right now, which is set to be released in 2022. So it's safe to say that this movie won't be coming out for another 3 to 5 years. There's currently no writer attached yet, it seems, but with all that being said, let's get into some speculations. So, considering that this movie will be coming out after John Wick Chapter 4, I have a strong feeling that the release of this movie could line up with the release of the second game. As you may know, production on the second game has already started and should be rolling out in the next couple of years. This would just be good for marketing, obviously. If you have a movie coming out around the same time as a new game, it'll make more hype. Now, the reason why I bring up the sequel to the game is because this game franchise is only one game in, so I'm curious on how they'll tell Jin's story in a new way that's different, because I imagine that the beat-for-beat stuff will remain relatively the same, at least in terms of how the story starts and plays out. Maybe with side characters and certain segments cut for the film, but I think it's pretty easy to sit here and talk for 10 minutes about all the little changes that they could make, like the horse maybe not dying and the grappling hook to scale the castle wall. So I'm going to talk about the one big change that I think they should make. I think that the most valuable change that they could make in order to differentiate this film from the games is by changing the ending. As you may know, Ghost has two different endings to the story, with the canon one being where you spare your uncle's life, and that's the story that the second game will continue. So I think it would be a great idea for the film to go with the alternate ending, and if we get a sequel to the movie, we could see the fallout of that ending in another movie. Because it would feel kind of pointless to see Jin's story progress in the games, while in the movie we just get the exact same story told to us in the first game, because John Wick and Jin Sakai both have one thing in common, and that's that they're out for revenge. So it would be really cool to see this movie go down the darker route with an alternate ending, or with the alternate ending, an ending which some people actually prefer, and it would set itself apart from the games, like I said. But yeah, that's my main big speculation on this movie as of right now. Some other minor thoughts I have are that I hope Daisuke Tsuji, the actor who played Jin in the game, will play him in the movie. He provided the voice and the face of Jin Sakai, but he might end up being too busy with the second game for the movie, getting those butt shots in. But he has expressed interest in playing Jin in the movie on Twitter, so I'm curious about that. And I'm also curious on how much of the game stuff will carry over to the movie, like the foxes and the wind and the birds and all that, like the more mythical aspects of Ghost, as opposed to leaning heavily into the Kurosawa style, which could still work as well for a film because that is what the game is inspired by. But yeah, motherfuckers, those are most of my thoughts on this new announcement and some general speculations. The Deadline article will be linked below if you want to read it for yourself, but please be sure to let me know what you thought of this down below. Do you think this movie will be good? Do you think it's in good hands? I personally have hope that this could be great, and it seems like everyone behind this movie does too, especially considering how fresh of an IP this is. But yeah, that's it from me, and I'll be covering any new news on this movie, so please be sure to let me know what you think. Do you want Daisuke to reprise his role for this movie? Sound off in the comments. Like the video and subscribe if you want.
Transformed to pickle. The funniest shit I've seen. Call him Pickle Rick.